Hello and welcome. This is Faceless Opinion, fantasizing about my vampire waifu. Welcome you back to Skyrim month, the series where we'll go over Skyrim-related topics throughout the entire month of November. We've talked about every major questline and faction within the base game. Now it's time to talk about DLC. And for today, we're going to be going over the first expansion, and that would be Dawnguard. Let's first talk about the story. While traveling about in the world, you hear talks about a group of vampire hunters being formed in an old fort outside of Riften. After going there and meeting the leader of the group, Isran, he sends you out on your first mission, to go to a crypt and figure out what the vampires are doing there. While making your way through, you find out what they were looking for, a female vampire named Serana, who was sealed away in the crypt, along with an elder scroll. After talking to her, you agree to take her back to her home, a secluded island inhabited by a group of vampires called the Volca clan, which is led by Lord Harkin, her father. As thanks for returning the scroll and his daughter, he offers the opportunity to become a vampire lord. If you accept, you end up signing with the Volca clan. If you reject, you're ejected from the castle and go back to the Dawnguard. Regardless of what side you choose, the story does not change that drastically. You end up helping your chosen side by either recruiting members for the Dawnguard or finding the Bloodstone Chalice for the vampires. Afterwards, Serana comes to talk to you about the Elder Scroll and how you need to be able to read it to learn more about the prophecy of the sun. After figuring out how to read the scroll, as well as collecting additional scrolls, you learn about Ariel's bow and the part it plays with the tyranny of the sun, which Harkin wants to use to block out the sun so that his kin can roam freely during the day. You and Serana go on a quest to find the bow so that Harkin doesn't block out the sun. After retrieving it, you go to confront him. A battle ensues, but you ultimately slay the vampire lord. If you are a part of the Dawnguard, you and your allies storm Volca Castle and slay the entire court, and Serana ends up joining the Dawnguard. If you're a part of the Volca side, after killing Harkin, you are anointed as the new head of the clan. All in all, I'd say that this is one of the best storylines in the game. If I were to rank it, I would say it's in the top 3 most definitely. The biggest thing that makes this story work is Serana herself. She is the biggest motivator for the questline. The bond that you and her form throughout the story is a good one, which is why I would say that she is not just the best character to come out of the Dawnguard DLC, but is also the best and most compelling character in the entire game, because it makes me care about her, unlike some of the other ones who they have characters that I have a positive view on, but don't feel as invested in. It also helps her case that she has both a likable personality and is good in combat, which makes her one of the best followers in the game. I mean, I made her number 1 in my top 10 followers list. As I said in that video, she is universally loved by the fandom, and if she were eligible for marriage, we would all be jumping at that opportunity. This is what makes the questline great. Without her, I think it would have been boring and generic. However, let's talk about the things that hinder it, and that would be Lord Harkin. For me, I do not find him that interesting of a villain compared to the others. The reason why would have to be that he lacks presence. There are very few interactions with him. On the Dawnguard side of it, you only interact with him twice. First being when you return Serana to the castle, and the second being the final confrontation. That's it. There's no build-up. We hear from both Serana and Valerica that he is a bad dude, but without those instances where we have an encounter with him, it doesn't build him up, doesn't establish him as a real threat. Think of it like this. During the main quest, you have roughly 5 encounters with Alduin. At Helgen, Kynesgrove, the past, where you learn Dragonrun, assuming that you want to count that one, Throw the World, and Sovngarde, as well as random encounters of him reviving dead dragons in certain locations. You would say that Alduin has been built up as a real threat. Now, would you say the same thing if all the encounters you had with him, except the first and last, were cut out altogether? No, it wouldn't make Alduin as big of a threat. Now, you would think that if you side with the Volca clan, the issue of Harkin's involvement would be resolved. Not really. Sure, you see Harkin more often, but the interactions with him are limited, and he ends up betraying you because I don't actually know why. Probably has to do with Ariel's bow. It would make sense since he wants to block out the sun, and that's bad. But my issue with Harkin's plan would have to be that he's supposedly doing this for his kind. He has never once shown any positive opinions on other vampires in Skyrim. Instead, it's quite the opposite. He considers them to be, quote, feral animals that frighten the herd. So clearly, he isn't doing this for the betterment of vampire kind. Harkin is just another in a long line of power-hungry, narcissistic megalomaniacs. You know, it's quite sad, really. I consider Archcurate Verfer, a person we only have one encounter with, to be a better villain than the actual main villain. Think about it. We know more about Verfer and why he is doing what he is doing more than Harkin. In all honesty, he would have made a better villain. Another point of pretension I'd like to talk about would be how that both sides don't really engage heavily within the story. For the most part, it's just you and Serana. The Dawnguard are involved with some things, but I wouldn't say that they contribute as much as they should. They don't help search for the Moth Priest, look for the other Elder Scrolls, or go with us to find Ariel's bow. Though they do help us storm Volca Castle and slaughter the clan, so that is something at least. I just wish there were more from them. Sure, we get crossbows and armored trolls, but I wouldn't mind if we got more from the other members like Ezron. I think he's kind of a badass and knows what he's doing. Have him use some of those spells in his arsenals and take down some bloodsuckers. Then we get to the other side of the aisle with the Volca clan, and let me tell you, they don't do anything at all. Hell, I don't even know most of their names. That is how little I know about them. All I know is that two of Harkin's advisors are in a feud of some sort of who's going to take the throne. I don't know. The Volca clan is incredibly dull, and they should have made some of their members more important and unique, because they all kind of look alike. I can tell who's an elf and who's a human, but the pale skin, red eyes, and similar outfits don't help, which is why I never really sided with them and always go with the Dawnguard. And apparently, you can become the leader of the Volca clan, but that doesn't do anything for you, so who cares? If anyone should be in charge, I would argue Serana, because she is, after all, Lord Harkin's daughter and is the most logical choice. But like I said, who cares? The Dawnguard is the better side to be on. Besides its story and other miscellaneous quests, the DLC also bring in some new game-changing mechanics. New weapons are available to be made, like the crossbow, new shouts are available, new creatures can be fought, such as gargoyles and legendary dragons. Mounted combat's a thing, so if you ever wanted to be a cavalier, now's your chance. Hell, you can even change your appearance with the addition of the face sculptor. Not sure as to why I would want to spend 1,000 gold to change my facial features. If it was race and gender, maybe, but just my face, kind of not worth it, but that isn't the point. Then we get to the two bigger add-ons. The Soul Cairn, which I think is pretty cool looking place, although it does give off a creepy vibe to it. In addition, the Vampire and Werewolf perk trees, where you can learn new powers for your preferred transformation by feeding on enemies. For a vampire, you can summon gargoyles and even force choke a bitch out, while for a werewolf, you can howl and make nearby werewolves come to your aid. I think the perk tree was the best addition because, let's be honest, in the base game it can be a bit mundane doing the same stuff as a werewolf. With the perk tree, you can change things up and gives you more of a reason to transform if you don't normally use that form. I won't go into what form is better than the others, not today, but one thing we can agree on is that without the perk tree, these transformations would not be as good as they are now. Dawnguard DLC is definitely really good. It brings a lot to the table and is worth playing, not just the quest line, but the missed quests as well. I would say it's worth the money, assuming that you didn't get the remastered version of the game, but that isn't the point. Dawnguard is so good that I would say that this alone could have been a good replacement to the main quest. It would need a little more fleshing out, but I think it could work. At the end of the day, nothing but praise. With that said, tell me, what do you think about the Dawnguard? If you had to add or change anything, what would it be? Which side did you end up picking? Tell me in the comment section down below. Now if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and make sure you subscribe for more of that good old Skyrim content. Now until next time, I'll catch you all on the flip side.